The world has changed. People are fearful. Our government is not for the people. But still, it's never been easier to connect and bring people together. We are bringing about the best in ourselves. We are learning from others. We are challenging our beliefs and overcoming our fears. We are transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go? It's up to us. This is the Think Tank. I am Martin Spencer, and my guest today is Christian. Welcome to the Think Tank.
Yes, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate being on here.
You left Tampa, went to Harvard University, and just left us hanging in Tampa.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I had to follow my destiny.
There you go. Follow your destiny. Like I always say, you want to glow in the dark.
Exactly.
That's it. Exactly. Well, it's such a pleasure having you in the think tank. I appreciate you coming on. We've been friends for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
And how did we meet again?
So, Martin, we met at a Black Chamber of Commerce networking event.
Right.
I remember seeing your business card because I remember you had on there that you were an MBA, that you're a
Mhm.
world-class athlete, and that you were involved in real estate. And you and I kind of both were kind of dancing in that real estate flipping arena at the
Right.
time.
Right.
And so there was a lot of intersectionality. I think we went and had coffee one day, and then
Right.
we've kind of been best buds ever since.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, despite the number of years between us, you reminded me. I always tell you so much of me when I was younger. The
Yeah,
drive, this just the tenacity for life, and just hanging out with the right people, and not being afraid to venture.
yeah.
Not being afraid to venture. I mean, but you were so fearless that you left Tampa and went to finish to complete your education. And tell us where you are right now.
So right now, so I was born and raised in Tampa,
Hmm.
and I graduated from Florida State with a degree in finance and economics, and then a minor in real estate.
Right.
And to kind of catch people up, when Martin and I met, I had sort of just taken the dive into real estate investing. I was working as a financial advisor at the time,
Hmm.
and I had acquired, I think, 3 properties at the time that we had met,
Right.
and I spent time in Tampa. And during that time in Tampa, I felt like I just couldn't sort of reach my full potential based on the resources that were around me.
Right.
And so Martin and I kind of like went back and forth on it. He gave me a lot of guidance on it. And
Hmm.
eventually I took the plunge and I made the move to Boston.
Hmm.
Right now I'm going into my second year studying a master's in finance from Harvard Extension School.
Hmm.
And I'll basically be getting, at the end of my degree, I'll have a master's in finance and a certificate in real estate investment. And then right now I work full time as an associate on the wealth management team. And we're basically handling clients' assets. Our average account size is around $15 million. Um,
Average account size 15 million. You positioned,
having
buddy. You are positioned.
so helping those clients with investment
Good.
strategies, but my true passion was always real estate, like we talked
Right.
about.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, that's the fastest way to earn a living. You know,
Yes,
fastest way.
yes,
I would say. You got out. We take our lumps. We bump and grind, but you can rebound in just one deal.
yes,
In just one
exactly,
deal.
exactly.
Exactly. So you also did some in your not in your client finance. Along the way you got your Series 7 license, right?
Yeah, so right around the time that we met was when I was doing a lot of work for individual clients. And this is, I worked for a normal size investment company, and I was handling more so like middle America.
Right.
And so at the time I had a Series 7 and I was walking people through investment techniques. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of how I stumbled upon real estate initially was, both my parents were always involved in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
But when you find that clients have a lot of money,
Right.
the 9 times out of 10, that client has a really big real estate holding.
Right.
And when I was working as an advisor, one of my favorite questions to ask people is, how did you make your money? How did you get that first dollar to invest? And how did you change that first dollar into your next dollar into $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's in that story where I would start picking up the most information and being able to apply it to myself.
Right.
So I just kept hearing over and over again that clients would invest in real estate. And there was always a variety. I think you and I kind of talk about this a lot, is real estate is extremely broad.
Right.
So some of my clients would get their money specifically through commercial real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Some would do it flipping single family homes. Some would own, multiple duplexes or multifamily. And so the way they structured the deal, we would go into details, whether it's like lease owner financing or lease options, all these different concepts that you can pick up during real estate. And that's kind of where I would say that I kind of like learned a lot about it,
Mm-hmm.
by kind of taking tips from people who are already established and then helping them on the investment side. So now that you have the profits from the real estate, how do you invest that in the market to make sure you're protected and you still grow long term?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
kind of learn both at the same time.
Right, exactly. And like I said, for someone as young as you, there aren't very many young people, like the young man I interviewed a couple of days ago. At 23, he was in Toastmasters. I've never seen anybody that young in Toastmasters for so long. Everybody's in their 40s, 50s, and 60s in Toastmasters. But just the drive, when I meet a kid like him and you, the drive that you have, the future is bright. The future is bright. Trust me. You and I can collaborate on so many levels, and there's so much distance between us in age. But you were so far ahead of yourself, and I take my hat off to you, honestly, because the future is bright.
No, thank you. And I want to share a piece of advice that you shared with me that really stuck with me. And that is, you and I, even though we have this age gap and this, quote unquote experience gap, we're both living in the now.
Yes.
We're both living in today. So whether, you're starting at $1 million or $1, because we're both living in today, I don't want to say we're competing against each other, but we're being held to account by the same standard, which is, what did you do today to grow your business?
Right.
And if you took those actions, you'll see the growth. And if you did not take those actions, you won't see the growth.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with age or experience or any of these other metrics that sometimes we use to, what I would call, give ourselves an excuse, not to do the work.
That is so true. That is so true. But you've worn so many hats, man.
Yeah.
When I tell you, you mimic me so much, it's not funny. You have worn so many hats. Like you also in the business credit consulting business too. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So on this journey of wealth, of kind of understanding how to build wealth, I feel like you start on the investment piece, or where you start kind of doesn't necessarily matter. But eventually you kind of end up in the investment piece and the real estate piece. And whenever you end up in those two markets, you kind of reach your ceiling, and your ceiling is limited by how much money you have access to. So to kind of put it into context, when Martin and I met, I was around 25, and most 25-year-olds don't have access to enough money in order to really be serious in real estate or even investing. And so I did a lot of research on how did people get their first dollar to invest. I was obsessed with that concept. First dollar investment is what I called it. And what I learned is a lot of people got their first dollar investments from business credit.
Right.
And for people that don't know, if you have a business, your business has a credit score. Most people don't know what it is. Different credit agencies, such as Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, Equifax Business, they're keeping your score.
Right.
And so what I learned is, because they're keeping your score, if you're able to build your score, lenders will then lend to you.
Right.
And so in this process, I learned all about business credit cards. A lot of people have seen sort of the Chase Inc. business credit cards. That's usually how people get introduced.
Right.
And so once I found out about this world, I found out how to use it in order to build a real estate portfolio. So let me give a concrete example of how this will work. We're going to assume that I meet someone who's a real estate investor, and they tell me they've got a 720 credit score and they're looking to finance this deal, but they need $50,000. What the normal person would tell you to do is to go out to a bank and try to get a loan, but most banks aren't going to give you a loan with the second lien position on real estate.
Right.
That's probably never going to happen.
No.
You want to get equity from an investor, but you'd have to give equity.
Right.
And so are there any better methods? And what I found is business credit is that answer.
Right.
So what I would advise the client to do is to apply for these specific business credit cards. All of the cards that I'm going to recommend are going to be 0% interest for 12 to 18 months.
Right.
So you're not worried about paying interest as long as you're able to get the deal, get the debt paid off in 12 to 18 months. And then I could, based on where your score is, I could probably help you get access to 150,000, and then you're only going to use about 30% of your total utilization, which is the 50,000. And then to liquidate these credit cards and to fund deals is relatively straightforward. And so once I learned this concept, I started to pitch this idea to different real estate investors. And one of my favorite success stories, I always like to share this one, because it's one that people can really relate to. So one of my initial clients was this guy. He was a barber in Tampa, and he just worked cutting hair at a barbershop. Probably made about $15 an hour. And you know, he's a great barber, but he wanted to invest in real estate. He wanted to own a duplex. And so after talking to him, you know, I told him, hey, you know, do these 3 things to fix your credit score and then come back to me. He came back 2 months later, and we kind of found a deal that we wanted to get funded. And I took him through this process of telling him exactly which cars to apply for, how to get access to the money. And in about 30 days, we got him access to $75,000 in credit. And he had only been a barber making $15 an hour up until that point. So he was able to take this cash, put it down on the duplex, and start cash flowing immediately. Within 6 months, he paid off the line of credit. And then we went back and got him an additional credit because his credit score had improved.
Right? Because he did the right thing.
Because he did the right thing. He got the debt, and then he paid it off. And so by the end of the first 18 months, we had given him access to over $100,000 in business credit. And we were giving him qualified for an SBA loan to open up a coffee shop / art gala in Tampa.
Wow.
And this is a guy making $15 an hour as a barber, had never thought about, you know, taking his dream to this level. But once you give someone access to that kind of money, and you give them resources to be able to take that money and to invest, you give them a way out. A lot of times people will choose that way out, and they would choose to build a business for themselves rather than to continue to be underpaid by their employer. And so that's why he's one of my favorite success stories, because he wasn't a super business genius. You know, he was just a person who wanted an opportunity, and business credit, he was able to leverage business credit to create that opportunity.
That is wonderful. That's a great story. That is a great story. Yeah, you and I have collaborated on many, many stories, and that is a good one. That's a good one. Okay. I remember the one you did with your dad, the property you did with your dad. There's always, you know, along our journey, people always think that, you know, everybody who's an investor, you know, just makes money. There's some stories that you say, well, this one didn't work out. Even the big investors tell you, they tell you the ones that didn't work out. But you learn from those ones. You learn from them, and they don't happen again. Another disappointment will happen, but not the same way. Exactly. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's a great success story, man. You know. Now your new venture. Tell me about your new venture.
So the new venture, I'm extremely excited about, because this kind of combines all of my experience into one consistent platform. That I use to kind of train and teach and coach people and help them bring their results to the next level. And so basically, as I've been taking these classes at Harvard Extension School, what I've learned is most business owners aren't well positioned to take their business to the next level financially. What you really need starting out is you need somebody who can come in and give you directions financially. You know, there's a stat that says most businesses fail because they don't have the right finances in place. So I've made myself available to act as what I call a fractional CFO. So this is
fractional CFO. Okay.
Exactly. So I specifically work with startups. And part of what I do, because I want to take the veil off of startups for people for a second, because I think this is kind of where a lot of people make a mistake. There's this myth out there that says if I were to start an app, a business, and my goal would be to start this business and then to have a venture capital firm see my business and then fund my business. You hear Uber, Twitter, Facebook, all those stocks have been bought by venture firms, taken public, and then you see these owners become billionaires.
Right.
And I have this investment thesis that says that these people, they sell equity in their company too early. They give up ownership way too early.
Right.
And so what I want to do is I want to be able to help startups go through that venture process,
Right.
but not give up equity early. And so how do I do that? How do I get access to money that I need to grow my business without pulling in equity partners?
Right.
And so I can take them through this route of building relationships with banks, building relationships with different lenders. Remember, we're talking about 0% interest for 18 months.
Right. Can't beat that.
That plenty of time to get your business up and running,
Right.
to get the sales and results and revenues that you need. So now, instead of going to the venture capital firm when your business is just starting out, you can go to the venture capital firm as a mature, grown business where you have your clientele, you have your product, you know what works, and you're able to bargain for a better valuation.
Right.
So my goal is to take that company that would have gotten $1 million valuation because they're desperate for money now, to give them the money they need to push that valuation up tenfold to 10 million or 20 million.
Right.
And so how do I do that? Well, I can walk these entrepreneurs through the process of how do I manage cash flow? What do I need to pay for? How do I organize my expenses? And most importantly, how do I get access to low-cost capital, revolving low-cost capital, where I can take it, use it, build my business, pay it back, and not have to worry about paying ridiculous interest rates. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. And so this same concept not only applies to startups, but it also applies to mom and pop businesses. Right now, I'm working with a lot of real estate investors, helping them get access to capital. But this same thing applies to different brick and mortar businesses like restaurants who may have been struggling during COVID and trying to figure out what are their different funding options.
Right.
I've walked businesses through the PPP and EIDL program to get access to credit. I've helped businesses get access to grants and different organizations that will, hey, I've got a restaurant and you guys give grant money to restaurants. How do I navigate this process? They would come to me, and as their fractional CFO, I'd be able to help them solve these financial problems.
Wonderful. Yeah, yeah. Because right now, especially right now in COVID, I was on a webinar today, and they talked about right now the online business is just exponential. The growth is just like through the roof. Everything is e-learning. E-learning. It's like a $260 billion business now. You know, everybody's expanding. Zoom, you know, Zoom had, for example, in my case in point, when Zoom had, way back in February, March, Zoom had 30,000 customers. In 3 months, Zoom had 300,000 customers. In 3 months. I mean, you look at the exponential growth, because of course, the people get fearful right now because of COVID, but there's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you think this situation right now with COVID is handling.
Yeah. So let's talk about education specifically, because this is sort of where I'm transitioning next. The first thing I want to talk about is sort of the way people think about education, and how this current model is broken. So right now, the current model is you go to college, you get a 4-year degree. The average 4-year degree is somewhere around $40,000 to $50,000 per year. So you ended up spending $100,000, sometimes $200,000 for a 4-year degree.
Right.
Consumers are starting to get smart and realize that this is not the best way.
Right.
Like it's too expensive and it's not worth the money. So what companies like Google is doing recently is they've released their certificate program, which is basically just a low-cost college degree. So you pass a bunch of classes, you get this piece of paper from Google that says you're competent in this specific skill set, signaling to employers to hire you. So what Google's doing is they're trying to push down that price point.
Right.
Also, what COVID has done is accelerated it, because a lot of businesses, a lot of these colleges are actually businesses, and they've been depending on the fact that they can inflate the housing costs to kind of make up for some of the revenue.
Right.
Well, without COVID, they don't have students in person, so it's hard to justify $40,000 to $50,000 a year in education costs. And so, with that market being so large, being dominated by schools like Harvard, MIT, Phoenix, DeVry, these different online institutions, you're going to see a lot of competition in that space. And what a lot of people are learning is YouTube University, as I call it, where you go online and you watch YouTube videos to learn a different skill. It's just as easy, if not better, than what you could learn in college spaces. And in places like Coursera are offering different certifications in different specific areas.
Right.
And so as an entrepreneur looking for opportunity, that area is rife with opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so the follow-up question is, okay, well, how do I capitalize on it? So one of the things that my firm does is we help you create search engine optimization tools
Mm-hmm.
and Facebook marketing tools to help drive sales.
Right.
So what most people don't understand about digital marketing is it's very formulaic. In the same way that I know if I run a Super Bowl ad, it's going to reach 30 million people, and out of
Right.
those 30 million people, 20,000 are going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Internet sales makes that same exact equation pretty simple.
Right.
And so you basically have to figure out what do you want to teach. So for instance, if you and I were doing a session, I know that you're a renowned speaker.
Right.
So I know one of the things you'd want to do is bring people in to either hear your speech or to teach them how to become a speaker.
Right.
So then with Facebook, what people don't understand is every time someone visits Facebook, they're tracking your movements.
Oh, man.
They know all the information
Okay,
about
so
you.
if I visit something, then about 2 hours later, I go on Facebook and I get an ad about what I just listened to on Google.
Yes.
You know, because Google owns Facebook. And
Yes.
owns YouTube, I mean, you know. So it's so
Yes.
much tracking going on, you know?
Yes, yes. And to kind of highlight that point better, that ad that you saw should be Martin Spencer Speaks.
Right. And it will be soon, trust me.
And it will be.
Yep.
And so that's the future of it. And what people are starting to realize is the cost to acquire a customer online is significantly less than in person.
Oh, man.
The cost is significantly less.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a big ticket item such as private coaching or private speaking or a course that you want to pitch, the best way to do it is to align yourself with a company like ours,
Mm-hmm.
who could help position your product in front of the consumer. When someone types in, I am looking for a trained speaker to
Right.
teach me how to speak, to ensure that that person, the next thing they see when they log onto their Facebook page is your picture advertising
Right.
them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And we can predict how much that cost is.
Oh, yes.
And then if your service, if your profit from your service is greater than the cost of bringing a customer, we can bring you that customer at that cost.
Right.
You make an additional profit, and then it starts to grow exponentially.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of how we've taken sort of the traditional sales funnel and made it digital,
Right.
and then brought it to the consumers.
Exactly. Yeah, everything is digital right now. I mean, the case in point on the webinar I was on today, the gentleman said, you don't realize the power that we have in our hands with Google. Google has it has its evil side, but the data, if you just type in how to, let's say you wanted to know how to knit, and it brings you all the data on how to knit. If you wanted to sell a book on how to knit, if you wanted to, where you buy the yarn, where you buy the needles, I mean, it gives you all the data, you know? So why are people afraid? People should open their eyes right now. This is an opportunity right now to just, I'm telling you, man, it's amazing what's going on. There's no fear. People like you and I, and people not only you, and there's no fear. You see opportunity, you know, and when I see a young man like you, and when I realized you took the leap from Tampa to Harvard University, you know, you went blind, with blind faith. Didn't know anybody in Boston, in Massachusetts.
No.
Martin, I'm gone. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna figure it out. You know, I'm gonna pivot. And that's my 2 words, pivot and figure it out. You know, once you have that mindset to figure it out, nothing can fail. Because, you know, when you do that, now you align yourself with young men who are just like you.
Yep.
You go to university, you go to Harvard. What's at Harvard? People who think big.
Yeah.
Who had that big mindset. Like I tell people all the time, like, you know, I admire guys like Elon Musk, you know, and Jeff Bezos. They started humble, but they never died. They never say no, you know. So I'll see you one day, man. I will see Elon Musk. And I say, I knew that brother. I knew that kid. That's my son right there, you know.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And you're right. Now is the time to think big. And I think that what most people don't understand is the internet allows you to scale.
Yes.
Whereas you needed 5 locations, and to get a location may have been $100,000. The internet takes away a lot of those costs.
Yes.
And when I talk about the Facebook marketing campaigns, I want to kind of give people a little bit of like idea, like how much money we're talking. So there's this concept called return on ad. So this just talks about for every $1 you spend in ad,
Right.
how much, you reach X amount of people, and then how much does that $1 equate to in revenue, or really in profit over a specific period of time.
Right.
And to give people context on like how well we're able to help businesses, our typical standard is we're trying to get a 5x on your ad spend. So if you committed to $1,000 a month to spending on ads, we could bring you $5,000 of profit each month.
Oh, yeah.
Based on the different campaigns that we run.
Right.
A 5x return on your money. No other ad type, no billboard, television, radio, you don't get 5 times your investment.
Right.
On a consistent basis. And so that's why we really, really like what we're doing in the ad space. And it gives you the ability to scale, because that's what's happening. People are Googling and people are searching for your product, and you're not what comes up. And if you're not what comes up, people can't buy it, especially now because we can't go outside. We can't see your store. We can't see you in person.
And customers move fast. They can't get what they want right away. They're on to the next person. They're on to the next guy. Because I'm the same way. If I'm looking for something on Amazon and I see an inferior product, I'm going to the next one. If I see it has 2 stars, even if the price is right, no, you want to get 5-star. See all the referrals, and right now referrals and customer service is optimum. But I think that's changing in a way, because I bought something and I returned it, and people are quick to give you your money back because they don't want that negative feedback.
Oh man,
that negative feedback is not worth it. Give him his money back. Let him, don't put no negative feedback, because that means everything. It means I bought a router and it wasn't what I wanted, so I returned it. The gentleman who I bought it from he had it on Amazon. He sent me a little card and he said to me, "Please don't give me a bad feedback. I'll do whatever it takes." It's true. I was amazed, and it made me read it because I read the card, and he was honestly saying, "I know maybe it was a defect, a factory defect, but please don't give me a bad referral. Don't give me a bad mark. I will do whatever it takes. I will refund your money. I'll return it, whatever you want." So I mean, that is paramount. Those negative feedbacks. It is very so. So the fact that you can give someone 5x returns, that's phenomenal. And then in today's market.
Yes, definitely. And it works for most business types. So when you talked about ebooks, if you were to release an ebook that you sold for $2.99 as a way to advertise your course and private coaching lessons, we could put that in the hands of the consumers at a relatively low price, and you could make a profit on the ebook. And then everything you make after that, once they get into your sales funnel, you could grow that exponentially, because you now have people who bought into your product. So you have a list of people who are interested in purchasing those type of merchandise. And then a lot of people will take their current client list and then sell it to other people who sell auxiliary products. So a good one is we did a guy who does fitness. So he's a personal trainer. He's trying to increase his online personal training presence. Well, we paired him with a supplement company where he would do he would get a list of clients who either said yes or no to his workout videos, and then he'd sell that audience to this supplement company because they were interested in fitness in general. Now, this is a completely separate form of revenue for this guy, where even the people who say no, he's able to use those people, sell it to someone else, and now they can, sell. He's got an affiliate link with them where every time they make a purchase, now he's getting a portion of that. And so that's how the internet business can scale. So even for the people that tell you no, you can still profit off of.
Exactly. What I call the tribe mentality. You build a tribe. They say if you build a tribe of 1,000 people, 1,000 loyal customers, and that's the whole idea. You get 1,000 loyal, not 100. You can do that. You start with 100, but that loyalty base, they will buy anything. Once you give them that satisfaction, you give value, anything that you sell, you pitch to them, they will almost buy. And you can make an honest living on 1,000 customers. There's a book called Tribe by Seth Godin, and he demonstrates that, that tribe mentality. Exactly. Well, Christian, man, anything else you want to tell us about that you're doing?
man, I just want to kind of give people sort of the big picture plan here.
Right.
Because I'm doing all this stuff, but my why.
Right.
So my why is I have this investment thesis that says that there are millions of investors out there and millions of entrepreneurs who, because they don't have their, what I like to call first dollar funding, they
Right.
can't participate. So they've got the next Google, Facebook, interesting idea,
Right.
but because of financial circumstances, they can't enter the game.
Right.
And I want to tell those people right here, right now, please, please, please get in contact with me. Follow my Instagram page at microventurecapitalist.com. Send me an email.
What's the email?
Micro Venture Capitalist is my Instagram. Shoot me an email, christianwilliams1911@gmail.com. I want to help people who are aspiring investors, who are aspiring entrepreneurs who need to get their startup off the ground,
right,
to do whatever I can to help them get their business up and running. Because my idea is that once I can help them get viable, get started, get to a place where you're operating, then you're going to need some of my CFO services to help you grow.
Right.
So what I do to help you get off the ground is just, you know, we'll chalk that up as Martin Spencer sent you. We're friends. We're trying to build. And then once you get to a place where you're viable, where you can afford to bring on someone with my technical skills,
right,
that's where we'll talk about that. But my goal here is to help other people reach their financial goals in business and in life in general. And whatever I can to help to a person to do that, whatever I can do, I want to make myself available, make myself a resource, because I know what it feels like to struggle.
Right.
I know what it feels like to go through significant challenges, to have to pick up and leave halfway across the country.
I know.
To a place where you don't know anybody in cold winters.
I know it. Massachusetts, man, it's cold over there.
It's rough, man.
A lot of big tech firms are in Massachusetts. A
Yeah.
lot of big money's in Massachusetts. You know, and like you said, if you want to be somebody, you got to be around people who think like you, who act like you, and then like, you know, even you don't have to fake it till you make it. You just got to be in their presence and do your part.
Yes.
And you know what? You do the right thing, it will reciprocate.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Christian, it's been such a pleasure. I miss you in Tampa, but I know you're doing great things over there. We're only phone call away. You were here in town for a few weeks last week. You stopped by and say hi. It was so nice seeing you. But
absolutely,
man, I wish you all the best. I know, you know, I don't bug you, but you know, hey, if something comes up, you know, just a phone call away, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Anytime I can help, you know, you fund a real estate deal or flip something to somebody, I'm always down, man.
Yeah. Well, the market's getting ready to flood open pretty soon. I wouldn't say this year, but early next year, you'll see the market flood, because all the things that were right on the edge, they've been held up right now by forbearance and no foreclosures. But a lot of those jobs that were lost, it's unfortunate. But when there's something happens on one end, there's always something on the other end, you know. So I just wish you all the luck, my brother.
Thank you.
You stay safe. Get that master's degree in finance. When you get it, let me know. I'll have a bear on you, right?
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much. Keep doing good, man. And you know, as always, we'll stay in touch. We'll stay connected. But thank you so much for being in the think tank.
Yes, man. And thank you for inviting me. Everybody, you're in good hands with Martin Spencer. I've known this guy for many, many years. And he was my real estate mentor when I was just a young buck out there trying to wholesale properties to anybody that would listen, man. Thank you for your help with getting started, man.
Yeah, we tagged along to many places. I said, Martin, he said, Martin, come pick me up on this road, you know?
In the trenches, man.
We just go, man. And I remember all those times, and trust me, I cherish them, you know, and our friendship will always be friendship. So thanks for being in the think tank, and you take care of yourself, and congratulations on all what you do, and good luck in finishing up that degree. You got one more year to go?
One more year to go.
Yeah, MBA in finance. Wow.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm about to turn 30.
Wow, man. You're like a friend of mine says, I've got socks older than you. Okay, my friend. You take care, Kristen, and we'll talk.
All right, you too, Martin.
Have a good one.
Absolutely, man.
Bye-bye.